Hello, and welcome to Tech Cubicle on SAP. In this video, I want to air my thoughts on the fast pace of AI adoption, specifically within and around SAP software. Now I have to admit that whilst I kind of understand the technical aspects of AI,
I can't tell you too much about it.
And SAP have done a lot of work reassuring us with the security, reliability and ethical aspects, I've realised that there's a whole heap of stuff that I've only just started to think about, and it has got me a little worried. SAP Sapphire 2024 is truly behind us, the showcase event where SAP exhibits its latest innovations, newest features and future roadmaps. Whilst I didn't go to the in-person events in Orlando or Barcelona, I did spend my time watching 40 recorded sessions available on the Sapphire virtual event. See my previous videos summarising what I found in those videos, including an unannounced Joule capability, glossed over customer insights, and silently amazing RISE developments. Well and truly out of the furore and hyperbole generated at Sapphire and sitting firmly back in the reality of where we are actually at with regards to percentage of customers on S4HANA and in RISE,
I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
I began to take stock of what it means to have AI in an SAP landscape. Almost every Sapphire session had a mention of artificial intelligence in some guise. We've got AI assistants, or co-pilots as they are known, with SAP showcasing the newest capabilities of its own co-pilot called Joule. Then there is Gen AI in the SAP AI Hub, used for building your own models or using off-the-shelf foundation models for consuming raw AI. I just created that term. In your business processes. There's a common link between both of those types of AI, the model.
People come up to me all the time and say, you should be a model.
To be of any use, an AI has to have a model of some sort that it is trained on. For SAP Joule, it will be trained on a set of language models in different languages, SAP Business Process Terminology, SAP Product Interfaces and Features, SAP Help Documentation, and other inputs. All of this is to allow it to function as a useful co-pilot to an end user using SAP.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
The Joule models, and also the off-the-shelf large language models, LLMs, like those in Amazon Bedrock or IBM Granite, all these models will themselves be changing over time. They have to change to ensure they stay up to date and relevant.
I know nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No, forget that.
No, I forget everything. I know nothing.
One of the selling points of Joule's new consultant capability, that is, where Joule can be providing answers to consulting questions, is that it is trained on the very latest SAP documentation and knowledge base material, and will be more up to date than ChatGPT, which is only trained on an increasing window of internet accessible content and held back by the model training time.
They can eat up to 5 bags a day.
You might be wondering, how fast do these models need to change? It's no good having an LLM based on the English language, for example, which doesn't get updated for years or even months. It needs updating constantly. In the SAP world, the pace of change is increasing, and so a useful co-pilot needs to be able to match that change with information about those changes. Now, specifically targeting SAP Joule, those sets of models are maintained mainly by SAP themselves, but they have dependencies on public models that are mainly concerned with the aspects of language. Customers consume those models when they ask Joule to perform a task. What does a Joule interaction look like at a high level? Let's imagine we ask Joule, book 2 days of annual leave in August on 1st and 2nd. Joule will book those days in SuccessFactors and return a confirmation. What will that confirmation look like? Let's imagine that Joule returns, OK, I've booked those 2 days. Is there anything else? You can walk away from the prompt session. Don't worry, it doesn't have feelings. You could answer yes and continue to do some other task, or you could answer no and finish the session. It sounds simple enough, right? Now imagine that that was done through a set of GUI actions. In the GUI, let's imagine it's Fiori-based, if you were going to create a test case, you would document the inputs and the outputs and take screenshots as evidence.
No way, man.
If something didn't work, you would document the troubleshooting steps by looking in the log files, etc. If the GUI interface looked different, you would see it and record that fact so that you could update any end-user training material. But if we belly flop into the world of AI co-pilots, how will testing work? As a consumer, you have no idea on the version of models in use at any time. Has Joule been updated since you used it during your previous test cycle? Does Joule respond exactly the same way to the same input as when you last documented the process? Does Joule provide the same navigational path through a business process, or did the last Joule update allow an end user to go a new way? The above questions are challenging because we've gone from nice, contained, controlled, slowly updated GUI into a world of language, where one word used in a different sequence could change the outcome of the task.
Je m'appelle Claude.
Je te call blue.
Now I know what some of you are going to think. Do you even need to bother documenting the process with Joule? Now let's unpack that sack full of worry right there. You will want to test your business process. Even customers in S/4HANA Public Cloud will still want to test their business process. We know that SAP have already tested the software when they release an update for S/4HANA Public Cloud, but you and I know that there is no magic going on here. SAP can test it as much as they would like, but there will still be bugs, especially bugs related to actual data. And now we will also have bugs related to AI functionality.
Fire teams! You locate a bug hole, nuke it.
In the same way we have bugs with any user interface. We know this testing is needed because in RISE, SAP Enterprise Cloud Services actually perform tests on things like HANA upgrades, even though the software update has come from SAP and has already been tested. By providing customers with non-production tenants, SAP are implying that you should be testing. Let's imagine a scenario. A problem ticket lands at your help desk. Joule has just puked an error code when booking my holiday. Now, I'm not sure puke is the right word, but since we're making this interaction ever more human-like, it makes sense that Joule gets sick, right?
Ugh, it's putrid. What do you feed him?
Here's how I would handle that ticket. I would start by asking, what exactly did you ask Joule to do? In what language and with what words? That information is needed to try and replicate the issue, and also to try and raise the issue with SAP. When that information gets raised with SAP, will SAP want some form of log file? Does Joule record the conversation anywhere? If there is a log file and you don't need to upload it, who is seeing those log files? Are those same people seeing all your Joule conversations?
I know what you mean. We can only hear them over our radios, but I've got a feeling they're with us all the time.
What if you asked, Joule, book me a meeting with Dave at companyxyz.com with the subject Possible Share Offer Talks for 10th of August? Can anyone else see that information? Is there a risk of insider trading here? Taking a slightly different track, we can look at security. There have been a number of successful jailbreaks of AI models. Names like Master Key and Skeleton Key are a couple that have been proven against the models of OpenAI GPT, Mistral, Gemini, and Llama 3, to name a few. I don't know what models sit behind Joule, but you can bet that it is one of those models that I've just mentioned somewhere. If this is the case, then there could exist the possibility of abuse from an end user obtaining information or committing a change via Joule for which the end user is not authorized to perform. In July this year, Whiz, one of the largest cybersecurity companies in the world, published a report on the vulnerability in the SAP AI core that allowed complete compromise of the customer system just from interacting with the SAP system via AI and a compromised model. Since the systems that power AI are held and operated by SAP, that it is not possible for a customer to isolate that vulnerability or apply some security tooling to mitigate it.
Now let's see what we have here.
The only option is to turn off the AI capability, which might be harder than you imagine. In a business that has embraced AI fully, that is akin to having a workforce unable to work for you, and worse, it is like having a disgruntled employee sabotaging the business.
I'll just put this over here with the rest of the file.
I'll put a link below for more information on those jailbreaks. Also within the security area are the vectors of compromise and speed of compromise. If we start integrating co-pilots, we also need to think about how we ensure that security of the core SAP is not weakened. It could be all too easy for an end user's Teams account to be hacked from halfway across the world, then via Teams access SAP data.
I fear something terrible has happened.
Having an AI that can do all these tasks for an employee in an efficient manner at speed is great for time saving, But for a malicious end user, it is just as beneficially quick to exfiltrate data from various locations at speed. I think what I'm getting at here are a number of things. Firstly, do we feel that we have enough information about co-pilots to understand how they work with our data?
No way, man.
Who is troubleshooting these things, and how do we safely and reliably report problems to SAP? A good architecture will have observability built in, but I've not yet seen anything from SAP that tells us how we can observe the Joule interactions to improve business processes. Is it just SAP that will be working on these problems, or will SAP need to share that information with the creators of the models? How about integrations between co-pilots, like Microsoft Copilot and Joule? Who will be supporting issues with that integration? How can we establish a comprehensive testing strategy that includes business processes born out of AI interactions? Think about that one for a second, because I'm pretty sure I heard that SAP are working on vocal input to Joule. If a customer adopts that, how are they to test that vocal input into a business process has the same output? I feel that the test tooling that we have now has not yet caught up with the use of co-pilots that we currently have, or the use of co-pilots that we're going to have. Do we have the security teams and knowledge to properly secure these new system boundaries? Are we trying to run before learning to walk? To answer some of the questions I've raised, I think we just need a little more transparency and information from SAP.
I mean, it looks good.
Tell us how Joule will be tested and the likely issues we might see in production use. Tell us how those issues will be interpreted and resolved, considering some of them may have confidential data. Provide some guidance on how we should be testing the future business processes where co-pilots are involved. Show us the tooling that is needed and where there are gaps. Have you already experienced any of the above items I've raised? What is your experience so far with Joule? Am I wandering onto a path that is not designed to be walked? We might see soon enough when we start seeing testing tools being integrated into the SAP ecosphere that provide capabilities to end-to-end test a business process that is integrated via co-pilots. If, as an IT worker, you thought co-pilots just made your life easier, think again. Technical problems are about to get even more complex and obscured via AI and the intricacies of language. As always, reference links are down below in the description. Drop me a comment, give the video a thumbs up, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.